Hi, this tutorial is about the Witch's Haunt tree located at Legacy Station. I had the opportunity to make two, so on the second one I decided to show my viewers how to make one. The first thing you'll need to do is buy your PVC piping. I used the PVC cement and screws to attach them together. I did attach it to a base so that it could stand, and I used screws and a plug in the base to attach it to the wood. To me, the hardest part was figuring out the configuration. So what I did in this video is I marked the lengths and the types of elbows or tees that I used so that you could figure out if that will work for you. The next thing I did was cut a 2-inch plug to go into the pipe so that my base could be secured to the tree. Here is my base that my buildings will set on that I screwed onto my plug, which is located inside the tree. And finally, I knew I needed electricity to power all my nice buildings, so I added a power strip there in the back. I just screwed in 2 screws into the PVC piping and let it rest on there so I could remove it when I needed to. But this will make plugging all those buildings in a little bit easier. So get your gloves. We are ready to go. You'll need gloves. You'll need plastic bags to protect the surface. And tie back that hair. Leave the power strip attached to the back of the building, but make sure you mask it off so you don't get the great stuff in the holes of the power strip. I use a piece of cardboard to help hold it on there and push it. Obviously, you want to use something that you'll dispose of. And do not worry if it drips. It will make it much, much more spooky. Make sure that when you get to the top part that of each limb or stem, you make it flat so that the board can lay on there. If you happen to go over, it's okay. The great stuff is easy to cut off just with a knife, a sharp knife. So, but it's easier if you just kind of make it flat. Just level it off. If it doesn't go up to the very top, that's fine because you're going to paint it with black and you won't see that there's no great stuff underneath there. And once you add the board, you can always add more great stuff. It's just that great stuff will only last one time. You can't stop and reuse it. So plan on using it during one sitting. You can't take a coffee break and come back. Finally, on a plastic bag that I sprayed with Pam so it would be easier to get off, I am making little tentacles so I can put them onto the wooden base of the platforms of the buildings so that it would look much spookier. Okay, as you can see, I covered the cord a little bit with great stuff so that it would be hidden, and now I'm spray painting it, which is a regular flat, actually I used glossy black, and I will go back behind that once it's dry and add some highlights and lowlights with the regular paint. Using a kind of a creepy green, it's paint I had in my closet, and I think I used a yellow also. I dry brushed, using a dry brush technique, I added light paint to the tree to give it some highlights and lowlights so that it gives it some depth. After all the paint is dry, I'm going to use just regular Elmer's glue and apply it to the tree in just little dabs, and then I'm going to add the scenery supplies that we use to make it look, have a little flocking on it, and make it look more realistic. There's no rhyme or reason to where you put the flocking, it's just where you think mold or moss would grow, and put it maybe in the cavities of the tree. I also added a little bit of Spanish moss to mine. You can do what you want. After it dries, I use a matte medium made by Scenic Express. It's called matte medium, and I sprayed it on top of everything to make sure it stayed in place, so it wasn't fragile when you touched it. As you can see, I'm soaking it pretty good. You want to make a good solid coat on there, so when you move the tree around, the flocking doesn't come off. I've added my bases to the tree, and now I'm going to add my little tree limbs, tentacles, whatever you want to call them, to give it some interest on the base when they're looking up on it. You just hot glue those on, or you can use any kind of glue that you want. I happen to use the hot glue gun. This customer wanted purple lights on his, so I've added purple lights. On mine I added orange. Add the buildings and place them on your layout, and that completes our tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it.